It is really an honor for me to host this breakfast, Your Excellencies, end of missions, and very, very distinguished ladies and gentlemen this morning. And thank you very much for honoring us with your presence. I will start by expressing our appreciation to all of you, our esteemed partners, for honoring our invitation to engage with the judiciary during this partners roundtable breakfast. I am happy that I've had the privilege of engaging with most of you, if not all, in this roundtable concerning our dream for the future of the judiciary as captured in the social transformation through access to justice, the vision for the judiciary. As championed in the vision, you will notice that we are working towards establishing an independent and strong judiciary that is responsive to the justice needs of all our people. You will also notice that we are trying to establish a people-centered justice system that enables people to live in a just and inclusive society in a big dream that the judiciary is trying to realize for the people of this country. To realize this big dream, we need partners, we need collaborators, we need friends, we need people who can encourage us. Therefore, receive our gratitude and appreciation for the support that you have extended to us that has so far enabled the judiciary to emerge as a key anchor institution that is able to play the role of ensuring national stability and social cohesion in this country. This morning, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we are gathered here to start a new journey with regards to our partnership and collaboration. This journey we are embarking on is focused on addressing two key concerns. First, as the Chief Registrar said, the need to align your support with the priority areas that are championed in our social transformation through access to justice, the vision of the judiciary. Number two, we need to work towards a judiciary partner engagement framework that ensures that our partnership leads to the greatest impact on the justice needs of our people. It is in the best interest of both the judiciary and our distinguished partners that the programs that you support should be those that have the greatest impact in terms of addressing the justice needs of our people. It is in light of this that the judiciary identified priority areas that will be our focus going into the future. We are of the view that it is the programs and interventions targeting these identified priority areas that we need to address and also look at the challenges that face our justice system. It is targeting those programs, looking at those challenges, and seeking the interventions which will contribute to the realization of the dream of putting in place an independent, accessible, efficient, expeditious, cost-effective, and fair justice system. I will briefly highlight some of the key priority areas which we have identified in the blueprint the social transformation through access to justice, and which we will be asking our partners at this round table to contribute to. We are looking at justice for the poor, the marginalized, and the vulnerable, because if there is anyone who needs justice, it is that category of people. We are keen on tackling the great paradox that faces our justice system, which is that those who are in the greatest need of justice are the ones who are excluded from the justice system. I think empirical study has been done and found that about 90% of our people cannot access formal justice system. Our solution to this conundrum is to come up with tailor-made courts and alternative justice systems that are responsive to the justice needs of these vulnerable members of our society. Our key target group, therefore, in our interventions is our children. We had a wonderful interaction with the children in November, culminating with a symposium that brought children from all over the country, and they had their representatives. And the clarion call from that meeting was, if we can get this message to all Kenyans that we are the custodians of these children, and whenever we wake up in the morning, we ask ourselves, how are our children? They were speaking in Swahili and were asking, tujue hali ya watoto. If we can get this message across through the NCAJ, through all the people we work with, to own the agenda for our children, to carry through the implementation of the Children's Act, which was enacted last year in July, then we think we will have targeted a great segment of our society that really needs justice. Our children need to be nurtured, they need to go to school, they need to be provided, and they need to realize their full potential. And the judiciary is a key actor in this. We also aim to set up a safe and secure justice system that efficiently handles children in contact with the law and children in conflict with the law. We are working towards rolling out child-friendly courts around the country and supporting the alternative justice system mechanisms to resolve children matters in a rights-respecting manner. We already have one model children's court in Tononoka, Mombasa County. We also intend to establish a juvenile justice information system to link it up with the CPA-MIS managed by the Directorate of Children to enable appropriate data management in children matters. We also recognize that one cannot realize their full potential if they are subjected to sexual and gender-based violence, including in their homes. We are keen on rolling out the sexual gender-based violence courts in all the hotspots that we have identified. We already have one court in Chanzu, Mombasa County. We are hoping these courts will also deal with the trauma and will have facilities and personnel who can guarantee justice to victims in a manner that is responsive to the needs and also the sensitivities. To ensure access to efficient commercial justice that supports our country's quest for economic development, we are keen to having 100 fully established small claims courts in the country within the next 5 years. The rollout strategy for these courts envisages that we will start from Nairobi and the border towns before we move to the other urban areas. At this juncture, let me express our gratitude as a judiciary to the Kingdom of Netherlands and IDLO that have already expressed their intention to support the rollout of the small claims courts in the border towns. The small claims courts have become very, very popular because of the turnaround period of 60 days when cases are determined, and the easy access to the facility and the procedures that are used in that court. We are also looking to the promotion of alternative dispute resolution. We have embraced the idea that justice does not solely reside in the courts. We are keen on promoting the multi-door approach to dispute resolutions, and we have already operationalized court annex mediation and alternative justice systems in several court stations. We are keen to scale up these programs across the country. We are also working towards the decongestion of the justice system, noting one of the problems that has hindered the effectiveness of our criminal justice system is the congestion in our prisons and having so many petty offenders in the prison and also in the remand facilities. We are keen on reversing this trend to divert petty offenders from the criminal justice system, and to that end, we intend to establish courts of petty sessions in major urban areas to ease the congestion in the criminal justice sector and operationalize instant traffic fines and support family rehabilitation programs through the community service orders. We are also looking into the expansion of case resolution infrastructure in the arid, semi-arid areas called ASO and the other marginalized areas by improving physical access and proximity to justice resources, including legal information, which is critical to ensure that those who have been excluded from the reach of justice can have justice within reach. We believe it is unjust and unequitable for one to travel for more than 100 kilometers to seek justice. I've always given an example of a child who is a victim of defilement, and they have to travel over 100 kilometers to seek services, to get a police station, to get a health center, and even to be processed in the courts. So we want to scale up the provision of NJS suites across the country and also ensure that we have subordinate courts within each constituency and a high court station in each county. We also intend to set up access to legal information centers targeting areas that have been excluded from the justice system and mobile court stations to operate in those areas until we establish the courts, the formal courts. We also intend to set up a specialized court to handle the most complex security and transnational concerns of our day. The foundations have already been established in Chansu and Kahawa to model and locate these courts, and I am so grateful to the British High Commission, to the US Department of Justice, and all the donors who have been supporting us towards this end of how we can effectively deal with serious transnational crimes, counterterrorism, and all those other crimes, and how we can even establish a division of the High Court to deal with these matters. The other areas, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, which we are focusing on is automation of our justice system. The Kenyan judiciary, as you may be aware, is emerging as a regional leader on leveraging on ICT to enhance efficiency of institutional processes and of delivery of justice. We are owning courts online courts, virtual courts. We are using e-filing platforms. And we are keen on scaling up our interventions to improve case management processes and enhance service delivery. This will be through the digitization of case files for all judiciary registries, establish a case resolution data system to track cases resolved through court-annexed mediation and AJS as well. Our interventions will also involve scaling up the automation of registry services and all the court services, including all the other support services that we offer, from procurement to budgeting, to ensure that our ICT-based services are user-friendly and avoid the possibility of digital exclusion in the quest to access justice. So we need to support and establish judiciary desk in all Huduma centers and e-filing support centers in all our courts. And for this, I'm happy to say we have been collaborating with the Ministry of ICT to ride on the last mile provision of internet connectivity and to use the Huduma centers, which offer government services, because judicial services are also government services. So people who cannot afford the gadgets or cannot afford to go to the cyber cafes can now go to Huduma centers and access judicial services. We also need to support ICT infrastructure development, given that some of our court stations are still not adequately equipped with the ICT equipment. Another area we are focusing on is green justice, noting that climate change is undoubtedly a big concern during this time. We are committed to putting in place a justice system that responds to the principles of environmental sustainability, that looks into the grassroots empowerment and the participatory democracy and social justice, that support adaptation and mitigation measures to the climate crisis that is facing the globe. We are therefore seeking support directed towards our green energy initiatives and dream of having a paperless judiciary. We are grateful to UNODC and our donors who have supported our courts to use alternative energy. Solar panels have been installed in some court stations, and I'm informed we are saving a lot of money from electricity that can now be used to other uses in the judiciary. We are also, as a judiciary, hosting the largest gathering of chief justices and other jurists from Africa region in April for the 3rd Chief Justice Symposium on Environment in Africa and the 3rd General Conference of the Africa Judicial Educators Network on Environmental Law, which is called AJNEL. We aim to discuss judicial training interventions in combating the triple planetary crisis. We will be discussing climate change, biodiversity loss, and pollution in Africa. We will kindly be inviting you to join and support this symposium to put the Kenyan and African judiciaries at the global climate defense and sustainable land use so that we can be at the front line. Capacity building and staff wellness is also another concern because the stage, the vision, speaks about shared leadership. Everything boils down to leadership. Every judge, every judicial officer, every judiciary staff taking up their responsibility and committing to ensuring there is quality justice and customer experience of our litigants is influenced by having motivated personnel who are empowered and who are responsive to the needs of the people who come to us every day. And in response to this reality, we are keen on putting in place systems that enhance staff wellness, which include setting up regional guidance and counseling centers, physical fitness centers, nursing rooms, and programs to support sensitization on drug and alcohol abuse. We intend to have health talks, retirement, and financial literacy talks, amongst others. We are keen on revamping the judicial education and training by setting up the Kenya Judiciary Academy as a regional center of excellence on judicial education and training. We have already been allocated 55 acres of land in Gong area, which is just but a step towards the realization of this journey. We need support to construct this academy and support the various programs run by the academy. I was sharing with a few colleagues that last Friday I spent the whole morning with a delegation from South Sudan, led by the President of the Court of Appeal, judges of all the courts, including a court they are trying to establish or to deal with gender-based violence in Juba. They are very keen on us, Kenya, training them. There used to be a training run by the Kenya Judiciary Institute, which went up to 2016 but stopped when there was war in Sudan. They are keen to resume that study, trainings, and when I send this training for judges, they were quick to tell me we have to train also their judiciary staff. So we also had a delegation from DR Congo. They want to understand us. They want training on how to deal with corruption and how to set up institutions that can deal with issues of corruption. We are still not yet out of the thick of things in corruption, but I can say at least we have institutions in place. We have the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission. We have the corruption courts, both at the subordinate level and at the high court. We have the laws. We are struggling with the implementation. There are those of us in the Africa region who have not yet figured out even how to put the institutions in place, how to put even the registration in place. So they are looking at Kenya to learn from us. And we are therefore keen to pursue these opportunities that are geared towards enhancing the knowledge within us and within the region, to enhance our skills and competencies of our judges, judicial officers, and judicial staff through learning from our academy, and to explore also how we can twin with other established judiciaries so that we can have scholarships and exchange programs for our people to learn more. And what is very keen to us is also how we can get value for the money, which we call optimal resource utilization and absorption. We are keen to strengthen the financial management within the judiciary, working towards having in place an optimal system for resource mobilization, utilization, and absorption. One of the steps we have taken is setting up a resource mobilization unit to coordinate our resource mobilization efforts. This new office needs capacity building, and we welcome partnership in this area. Because we are judges, we do not know how to write good proposals. We may not know how to write good reports. So we felt it is necessary for us to establish a unit within our finance department that deals with resource mobilization, grant writing, monitoring and evaluation of the programs, where we can have very sharp program officers monitoring the programs. And this is one area where we'll be needing technical support to support that unit. In addition, we are working towards developing a work plan and budgeting toolkits that will help us revamp our budgeting and planning processes. We are also keen on developing tailor-made internal auditor software that will help in entrenching prudent use of resources and accountability. And for you, our partners, we want to deepen this partnership. So we want to enhance the coordination and collaboration within the justice chain to tackle the systemic barriers to access to justice, which are contributors to inefficiencies in service delivery. So we have revamped the operations of the National Council on the Administration of Justice, NCJ, and the court user committees as forums for coordinated pursuit of solutions to problems that hinder optimal performance and effectiveness in our system. We are all one chain, and if there is any weakness in the whole chain link, all of us suffer. We plan to go a step further by seeking support towards the enhancement of information and data sharing between the justice sector agencies through the development of an integrated justice sector information sharing platform so that everybody knows what it is that we are doing. We also want to know what the DPP is doing, what the police is doing, what the probation is doing, how the prisons are doing. We had a meeting with the PSs the other day, and they agreed to give us monthly reports on what is happening in the prisons so that that can trigger every judge, every judicial officers to know what we need, what interventions we need to put in place to continuously decongest our prisons. We are also very keen on leadership and governance by establishing an accountable and transparent judiciary that can deliver high quality justice. We have already made performance measurement a key tool for ensuring that all judges, judicial officers, and judiciary staff can account for their time at work. We have managed to succeed in doing this, which we have done in the last 5 cycles, and now it is customary for every judge, judicial officer, or judicial staff to always fill in a form every day to say what it is that they have done. You have been at work between 8 and 5. What have you done? How many witnesses have you had? How many rulings have you delivered? How are you dealing with the backlog? And in that form, it indicates the cases that are pending and the cases that are being filed. So going into the future, we seek support in strengthening this system by getting some technical capacity on data management and on monitoring and evaluation. To ensure we tackle concerns around corruption and unethical conduct, we have established the Office of the Judiciary Ombudsperson within my office. We are keen on enhancing the efficiency and effectiveness by developing an online reporting system that will enable easy reporting and feedback to complaints. We are also keen on developing the judiciary's anti-corruption strategy that will guide our preventive approaches to combating the prevalence of corruption and unethical practices within the institution. We hope to build public confidence and legitimacy in the judiciary, which is pegged basically on dissemination of information and public engagement. To this end, we will be keen on strengthening our information and public relations by setting up a judiciary press studio, customer care, call centers, and conducting periodic people-centered justice service. I will also talk about electoral justice. We all know the stability of any nation and the resilience of any democracy, and indeed, the fate of the success of any country will largely be determined by having the faith in the courts to competently and fairly determine disputes that arise from the electoral processes. It is in this context that we are determined to continue enhancing our capacity and effectiveness in electoral disputes adjudication. I'm grateful for your support, our partners, who supported and held us together when we prepared the processes ahead of the 2022 general elections. Given that our electoral preparations adopt cycles approach, we are soon embarking on the preparations for the 2027. This requires support to the Judiciary Committee on Elections to conduct a debrief workshops for the courts on the 2022 elections so that we can learn from the lessons of the 2022 cycle and even 2017. And also look at the registration and other regulatory frameworks that is required to be enacted to strengthen the whole electoral regime. We hope to avoid the last-minute amendments of the law that was the case of 2022. And we are trying to see how those laws can be tightened also to avoid last-minute invocation of the courts, which led to orders being issued very close to the elections. We also need to support the Judiciary Committee on Elections to pursue legal and regulatory reforms well ahead of the next cycle's elections. The other big event we are working on now is our strategic plan, because our current strategic plan comes to an end this year. We are looking at how we make the stage blueprint into a 10-year development plan. We are working towards transforming the stage vision into a strategic blueprint that will guide the judiciary for the next 10 years. For this, we will need partners and support towards this work that includes undertaking a comprehensive justice needs survey and a robust internal and external stakeholder engagement across all the courts. We are working with the Hague Institute of Innovation in Law, who have done some exceptional people-centered justice work across Africa and the world. I urge you to continue supporting the judiciary directly through this institute to ensure that our blueprint inspires the entire justice sector to adopt a people-centered programming approach. We are investing in data and evidence to support decision-making, negotiating for additional resources also from the national government, cultivating the potential political goodwill that is necessary to support policy and law reform, and also to deepen our partnership with friends and allies to scale up these game-changing initiatives that have seen to have substantial positive effect to access to justice. The stage development team that is chaired by the Chief of Staff with the guidance of the Chief Registrar of the Judiciary and the entire Office of the Chief Justice and Deputy Chief Justice will continue to engage with you and your teams to support this process. And in